following has been rated PG by the motion picture industry's rating system. Parents may consider that some of the programmed content may be unsuitable for children. Parental guidance is therefore suggested.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Okay, let me just say right off the old bat here before I begin anything. It's going to be challenging today because we're in the studios here of AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF in beautiful downtown Cartersville, just northwest of Atlanta, in the beautiful state of Georgia. And today I'm going to be in the beautiful state of a little bit of panic because outside the studio on Main Street in downtown Cartersville today, I'm trying to paint the picture. It's the blue sky. By the way, have you noticed all the fog and the dreariness is gone? Blue skies, it's beautiful, it's still cool outside, but we are having there's a barbecues and brews going on downtown today. And Alan is out. Alan is not vacationing. He's off assisting with his one of his daughter's nuptials today. She's getting hitched. Alan's daughter's getting hitched, Walt.
That's crazy.
And Walt is in the studio with me.
When she was a kid.
So. Oh, yeah, a tiny one, yeah. And so she's getting hitched. So Alan, he could have come and did his radio show and been on the air with me today, but he was instructed he could not.
No, he would be
He
crazy.
was needed all day long. So good luck to him. And I think it's going to be a glorious day for them. They're going to have great weather and everything. But Barbecue and Brews is going on in downtown Cartersville today, and we're on Main Street here at our broadcast studios. And I can look out the window and see bounce houses being set up, food trucks, people scurrying around getting everything ready, roads being blocked off. They're going to have barbecue and ribs and just food and drink and everything down here, and I know it's going to, we got wonderful window glasses here. We can see outside of everything going on and people walking by and waving at us. And it's going to be hard because that's, as well as I do, the smell will waft through these window pane glasses here that we have and get into the studio, and we start smelling these things, and it's going to be distracting.
Well, we don't even have to worry about that because the good people at Scott's Walk Up Barbecue just handed
Did they drop off a care package?
A couple of plates of barbecue for us.
Holy cow. That's great. Scott's Walk Up Barbecue. I love those guys.
Yeah, so
They're
we'll be taking a 20-minute break.
That's right. We'll actually take a lunch break on the air. I'll play several classic commercials while we do that. And now the smell is really wafted in here.
That is so
we may have to move that into the break room. No, don't do that because it won't be there. We need no.
Oh, no,
this is radio. We can't leave food around.
We're barricading the door.
No, we got to keep this under lock and key. So that's going on. It's a beautiful day. It's Saturday. It's BK on the air. Good morning. It's that show where I like to bring that Saturday morning cartoon feel that you used to feel back in the old days back to you every Saturday, since there is no cartoons on every morning anymore because they developed a Cartoon Network. So they don't cartoons on Saturday aren't special anymore. So I bring that wonderful nostalgic retro feel. I'm your retro radio rocket man here every Saturday, and I do turn this into a podcast of sorts after I get done every Saturday. Just I try to get them up there as quickly as possible, but I'm running a little behind. But if you want to listen to the BK on the Air podcast, which is a little different, I take each episode I do of the show here live on the air. I do pull out the local commercials and I replace it with classic commercials from the old days and Schoolhouse Rock bits and sound effects and Sesame Street Electric Company stuff and just throw it all in there, some classic movie TV themes and stuff, and it just makes it a little even more nostalgic throwback than it was when it's on the air live. There are ways you can listen to me if you can't hear me on the air. I want to remind you you can listen to our website. I prefer you go there and listen to that first. Go to our website because it's a beautiful website. I'd love you to look at it. It's WBHFradio.org. Just click the Listen Live button and you can hear there. Or if you can't for some reason do that or use that, you can always use two different apps to listen to us. It's Tunein and Radio Garden app. You can use those and listen to them. If you got a signal, you can hear us anywhere in the universe. I don't care if you're in the deepest, darkest jungle or you're up in Antarctica at a base, where there's an alien loose where it can assume different forms. Or whatever, at least before you're taken over by this alien, listen to the show. You can, if you got a signal, you can listen to the show if you wish. So
I've started a rumor that they're listening to us on the ISS, the International Space Station.
And you have spoken to someone that has been there.
I have
on a podcast.
Yes.
Astronaut Scott Kimbrough.
Kimbrough, yeah.
You've interviewed him, so maybe there may be some ring of truth to that.
Yeah.
When you say that, and plus you've been in a Star Trek movie.
I have.
So there you go. I say that every time you're on the air. I'm the only guy that has a friend. How many people can go, yeah, one of my best buddies, he was in a Star Trek movie. Not many people can say that, but Alan and I can.
That's
and
right.
And it's you. Into Darkness, Star Trek Into Darkness. You had a part in that, and that was great. I'm proud to be able to say that to people when I meet them.
Yeah, and it just rolled off of Netflix. It was on Netflix for
Really?
quite a while, so I was proud to say, hey, I'm on Netflix.
You know, I use that when people are sitting around, they're talking and they're bragging on themselves, or like at business meetings, or we're sitting around at a party or some function for my different family functions. People go, yeah, I'm a CEO of a construction company, and we did $2.5 million last year, and we were pretty good. And yeah, I'm a plumber. I'm a successful businessman. I work for an aviation company with an aircraft and jets. And oh, look, Barry's here. Hello, Barry. How you been doing? Yeah, I have a friend that was in the Star Trek movie. Can you say that? So
like,
always use that as a braggart thing.
Well, you need to find some other material.
Well, no, they're always impressed by it, though. One guy goes, I'm a CEO of a major corporation. Yours is much more cooler than mine.
Well, it was one afternoon a long time ago.
But I appreciate you being here and filling in for Alan earlier on his show.
Happy to be
and
here.
I'm glad that you volunteered to roll over and go up till noon with me. That means a lot to me. It really does.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, man. I am. I always have fun.
You and I are always happy to be on the right side of the grass.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And I try to listen when I'm not here, so it's good to be a part.
Well, we got a lot to talk about today, some of which is not limited to, but I will throw in a lot of Halloween-type stuff, scary stuff, because it is October, and we are leading up to Halloween and the witching hour and all that stuff, which also means there's going to be a Halloween show on this radio station on WBHF,
sure
like we do every Halloween night. Doesn't matter what it falls on. We could be really snooty about it and go, well, we're going to do it Saturday night before Halloween. That way, no, we do it Halloween night. I don't care if it's on a weeknight, which it is this year, and it was last year, 9 to midnight. Meaning you and I have things to go do Wednesday morning. We'll have to get up Wednesday morning early, but we don't care because we come here and we go all the way up to midnight.
I'd stay up all night if I had to.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, I'll take a nap when I go home the next day. Something like I take a nap then. But did you remember it was it 2 or 3 years ago? It fell on a Saturday, and we were really happy about that. That was fun.
That
we
was
came in here
great.
on a Saturday night
Yep.
and did it. It's called the Halloween Spooktacular. It's the 9th annual Halloween Spooktacular this year on WBHF. Halloween night, October 31st from 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern. You can hear me, Alan Sanders, Walt Murray will all be here doing our fun Halloween stuff. We'll talk movies, music, maybe have a guest or two, Halloween memories. It'll just be Halloween themed. So if you like Halloween and you're done with all your trick-or-treating with the kidlets and the Rugrats and you're snuggled in your house and want to listen to something, listen to us. You'll be able to listen to us up until midnight. You can listen to us all the way up till midnight or however long you want. And we do upload it later where you can hear it after the fact if you can't hear it. So it's coming up next, Halloween's coming up is it next week? Yeah. Next Tuesday?
I think that's right.
I think it is. We'll have more when we come back. It's BK on the Air.
Don't give me that so-so soda, the same old cola. I want a rock and roller. I want a pie. I want a Shasta. I want a taste for that. All the great taste Shasta has. I want a pie. I want a Shasta. I want a thrill. I want a wow. Taste it all. I want it now. I want a pie. I want a Shasta.
Look at that big yellow bike.
It has 3,000 speeds.
Wow.
But this is my favorite big yellow thing. Kellogg's Sugar Corn Pop cereal. It's big, and that gives Sugar Corn Pops a big yellow corn taste. Big,
Real big.
I make that big yellow corn taste part of my good breakfast.
What's this?
Hold on! That's the big yellow horn, son. Kellogg's Sugar Corn Pops. Big yellow corn cereal, big yellow corn taste.
Real big.
Burger King presents 4 bright, colorful Star Wars glasses.
Hey, it's Luke Skywalker.
And the princess.
Gee, wow!
Get your kids a different Star Wars glass each week. Buy a regular serving of Coke for 59 cents plus tax. Get Chewbacca. Get Darth Vader. R2-D2 and C-3PO.
What mission? What are you talking about?
We can get all 4.
Star Wars glasses at Burger King until February 2nd.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Three's Company aired from 1977 to 84. The show was based on the British sitcom Man About the House and was created by Don Nichol, Michael Ross, and Bernard West. The series originally followed the misadventures of roommates Jack Tripper, Janet Wood, and Chrissy Snow, who lived together in a Santa Monica apartment. It was actually intended to be much more adult-oriented. The British version of the show had dealt with some very mature themes, but when it was adapted for American audiences, the network insisted that it be toned down. As a result, many of the show's jokes and storylines had to be reworked to be more family-friendly. John Ritter was not the producer's first choice for the main role. It was initially offered to actor Charles Fleischer, who turned it down. When John auditioned for the part, he very much impressed the producers with his comedic timing and physical humor. He went on to become the show's breakout star and one of the most beloved television actors of his generation. In fact, Three's Company entertained audiences for over 7 years with multiple cast shakeups. Its lighthearted humor and lovable characters made it a hit with viewers and cemented its legacy as one of the most popular sitcoms ever. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel at Golden Rage of TV and follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Golden Rage of TV and Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
WBHF in Cartersville.
Now, to tell you what went on with Pat McCormick's Golden Rage of TV spot this week is, as we all know, this past week we lost Suzanne Summers, who played Chrissy on Three's Company. And that was unexpected. I didn't really know. I didn't follow her career a lot in the later years, and I didn't know that she was having health problems with cancer and stuff. So I think that's what finally took her. And Walt sends me the Golden Rage of TV spot this week. And he goes, "I'm not kidding. This was in the rotation to play today. It was the Three's Company spot, and it was just very, very, very odd."
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe there's a higher power at work here that made that one pop up. I mean, it was very nice to hear that spot play. We'll call that. We'll just say that was in honor of Suzanne Summers. And I was going to talk about her anyway today because. She was, she started on Three's Company. You watched Three's Company, and I did growing up.
Yeah.
When we're
Great show.
young guys, we're watching it for 2 or 3 reasons.
Yes.
Why we're watching it, and so watching it, I was a fan of the show. I mean, and you know that it was one of Lucille Ball's favorite sitcoms. And when Lucy pays you a compliment, the queen of comedy of television.
Compliment. Yes.
That means a lot, and I'm sure it meant a lot to them. And she hosted a best of 2-parter episode. I can't remember what years they did it, but she came on and go, "Hi, I'm Lucille Ball," and she's on the set of the show, and she hosted a best of their show. And they just had to be flying because of that, to have Lucy be able to do that. Well, I did follow Suzanne's career a little bit. I remember her being on Three's Company, and and I remember her being the girl in the Thunderbird in American Graffiti, pulls up beside and gives them that look. That's all she had to do. Yeah. I mean, she's really beautiful. American Graffiti, you never forget that image. And George Lucas was, I guess, obviously taken by her as well, since he cast her in it. Then she went on to be in Three's Company. Then she was in a show. I know that she went on to be in that show Step by Step with Patrick Duffy.
Yes,
that sitcom. But she did a show in between Three's Company. I think it was in between Three's Company and Step by Step, where it was I don't think it was a network show. Something's telling me that it was a syndicated show, where it was a new show, but it was in syndication only, called She's the Sheriff. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Where she plays the sheriff at this place, and it was hard for them to accept she was the sheriff.
Season or 2 at most.
I can't remember how long it went. I could look it up, but I'm sure somebody.
I do remember
knows.
that though. Yeah.
But I did see some episodes. It was a quirky show. It was kind of funny, but I did catch it when it was on.
Did she
from time
leave
to time.
Three's Company to go do that show?
No, she was kind of fired from Three's Company, from what I understand, because I did, and I talked this over. I talked with Commander Clark, a guy from the past that we all remember here on the show. I touched base, said hey to him. He gave me a call this week just to let me know and update me on what's going on with him and stuff, and his stuff and things, and catch up. And him and I were talking about how much we loved when the network E, the E Entertainment Network, or those networks, when they would make a documentary movie about the making of something. Like they did a movie based on Barry Williams' book, the guy that played Greg Brady on the Brady Bunch. They made a movie called, I think it was called Growing Up Brady, and what the whole movie was about was about his perspective of being on the Brady Bunch and all the drama that went on behind the scenes. But it was presented, it wasn't a documentary, it was presented in a movie fashion.
Yes.
Like it was a movie about them making the show. And that one was great. There was a one called Surviving Gilligan's Island movie that they
Right.
made, where
Yep,
it was a
I remember that.
great
Yeah.
behind-the-scenes movie. If you think it's all rainbows and Skittles and cotton candy on these shows sometimes where it's a comedy and it's funny and you think they're all a family, that's not always true behind the scenes.
No, it is
There's
not.
stuff going on behind the scenes. Now, you and I and Alan, we are like family here. We're like three brothers that pick on each other, but we love each other, and it's great. That's our behind the scenes. But some things that doesn't happen. Even Star Trek, the original series, not all of them got along behind the scenes, you know. But so the same was they did a Three's Company movie too, which I only saw once, and I don't know if it's still available to watch. But it was a movie about the making of Three's Company.
Yeah.
And if you believe that movie, here's what happened. I don't know if it was Suzanne Summers' husband was trying to talk her into demanding more money for the show. And according to her, she was trying to get more money for her and John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt because, every year they're on, they think you should have a raise or whatever.
Sure.
They weren't willing to do that, though, or to give in for the amount that they were asking for. I don't know what it was. But apparently, I guess Suzanne Summers or her husband was making a little bit too much trouble for him, so I think they were going to let her go, or they relegated to her where, if you noticed, toward the end of her appearance on the show, she would only call on the phone from her apartment to talk to them.
Yes.
Because she had moved out, but she was still on the show. And I think it was her cousin Cindy, Jenna Lee Harrison, came in as Cindy,
Right.
who I thought was very cute too.
Yeah.
And then Suzanne Summers was just on the set of it was a table, a chair, a wall behind her with a plant on the table by the phone. And that was her set.
Was
and
it.
she sat in, and she said she was always, every day, escorted by security on the set, sat down, read her lines, did her lines on the phone, and was escorted off the set as soon as she was done. That's what happened. And I don't know if the truth is somewhere in the middle. Maybe they were right about some things and she was right about things. But that was her final appearance on the show, was regulated to just that.
Well, I think sometimes you can get to where you think you are the show.
Right,
and
yes.
That's
true.
And they kind of say, well, we'll see about that.
And we can also look at the flip side, because we know that producers are trying their best to pay as little as possible,
Yes,
so they can make
absolutely.
money on the show. So, like I said, the truth is in there, probably in the middle somewhere. Like, oh, he said this, but let's meet in the middle, because they're both wrong about some things and both right about some things. But we know only the negative stuff makes the press, though.
Right.
That's
well,
the problem.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to hear they got along great.
Right. Shatner, Nimoy, they said, when we were, and this is Shatner and Nimoy talking together in a mind meld. It was called the Mind Meld, where they're just sitting in Leonard Nimoy's backyard talking about the past and stuff. It was made a few years before, obviously, Leonard Nimoy passed. But it was, a few years ago. And they're just talking about, he goes, if you read the press back in the old days on the show, you'd think that you and I battled all the time and couldn't stand each other. He goes, because that's what people like to hear.
Right.
That's what the Inquirer likes to put out,
Right.
or the tabloids and stuff. And he goes, I remember maybe a couple of arguments we had here and there, but that's the only thing someone heard. Was us arguing one day. And he goes, hey, even the best of family members argue with each other. Boy, don't you and I know that. For sure. You can be family, but that doesn't mean you're not going to scrap.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And fight.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's kind of one of those things like,
Yeah.
I can pick on my brother, but you can't pick on
Right.
my brother.
And same thing with my sister. I can call
Yes.
my sister anything I want, but don't you do it.
Well, and in my
Yeah.
journalism classes in college, we talked about several times that you can write an article that says, a source told us that.
You can always
and then
preface it
build
with
the
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
doesn't have to be vetted. It doesn't have to be,
Yep.
there are
They just can say whatever they want.
newspapers that have made
Yeah.
their living on that kind of nonsense.
Well, I think it was interesting that the Three's Company Golden Ridge of TV thing came up today, and I'm kind of both happy and sad that it was in the rotation to play today. And I'm always appreciative of Pat McCormick and his Golden Ridge of TV, that he's able to send me those every week and stay in contact with him and stuff.
Yeah,
And
he's a great guy.
I think he did text me and he said he would really love to. He's looking forward to calling in on our Halloween Spooktacular and adding to the
fantastic.
Halloween conversation on Halloween night. So
Yeah, he's such a great guy.
that's coming up. I'm going to play our new bit on that, too, by the way, coming up. I'm going to play our spot that we did for the Halloween Spooktacular coming up Halloween night. Now, some of the things coming up on the program, I don't have time to get too many things right now because we're coming on the bottom of the hour break. Some of the things coming up, I'm going to have a big report. This is from USA Today and from several other places. I took sources from like USA Today, Good Housekeeping, Country Living, and some of the news organizations, and every one of them put together a list of the most popular Halloween costumes of 2023. And all of them are saying kind of the same thing. So I kind of compiled them all into one report. So I think it's going to be pretty factual. Google, I even pulled from there. We'll talk about that. It's not going to surprise you when you find out what the number one costume is this year. It's going to be a girl costume.
Oh, yeah, I know.
If you believe in those sort of things, I guess a guy could wear them, but he could wear the counterpart of this girl's costume. But you'll see what I mean. I have a lot of that, and there is, believe it or not, there always is at least one popular superhero costume on the list every year, and it may change from time to time.
Sure.
But this superhero costume that's on the list, he's a popular superhero, but he doesn't even have a movie out right now. But he always seems to make the list because he's just a popular one for kids to dress up as, and they love it.
You can guess
you can guess, which one it is, and we'll do it when we come back. I'm trying to keep it Halloweeny and spooky. We've been doing a not your run-of-the-kill movie list. I started last week with one called The Skull with Peter Cushing. I was talking about it last Saturday. But today I'm going to have another movie on my not your run-of-the-kill Halloween movie, and I think Walt has a movie that you're going to talk about, because you can always talk about the popular films, but we want to bring up some of those that people may not have heard about and go, hey, in your movie rotation this year, maybe you ought to watch this one. You may not have heard about it, but it's a great movie to add to your list, and we think it's scary, and we like it. We'll talk about that. And the screenwriters of Back to the Future had Back to the Future on this day in history, too. Well, do you hear what day it is today? They wrote an episode of an old horror television show. That's from MeTV. All of that, flash the audience, too. When we come back, it's BK on the Air with Walt.
Neck.
Allow me.
Hey, such soft hands. And you a dishwasher.
My Ajax dishwashing liquid is mild on hands.
But I thought Ajax was a tough grease cutter.
Watch this. It is tough on grease. As my Ajax squeak soundly states. I've also found Ajax is mild on hands.
You and Ajax sure know how to treat a lady.
Ajax dishwashing liquid in the new clear bottle. Mild on hands, tough on grease.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF, online at WBHFradio.org. Yes, October's here. We're creeping ever closer to Halloween. One of our favorite parts of the year. Walt and I probably say it's my favorite holiday. I don't know why, but it just always has been. I like a lot of them, but Halloween's always been my favorite since I was a kid. There's just something about dressing up and demanding candy from people. It just turns me on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's great.
And as we're older, our Halloweens have morphed. It started out being a trick-or-treat thing. Then I got a little older. Then I started attending and supervising my younger sister and cousins. I was the older kid with the Halloween kids, so I was that for a while.
Yeah.
And then it morphed into being an adult, and then I'd start dressing up and going to Halloween parties, to adult parties with Halloween. And then I got to where I'm like, there was a phase where I went through where I didn't really dress up as anything, but I stayed at home, maybe put on a costume or something, and just gave out candy to kids that came by my house. That was another stage that I've gone into. Now, my Halloween now consists of spending it with you and Alan here at WBHF doing our Halloween Spooktacular every Halloween night. That's my Halloween now, and I love it.
It's like a service.
We don't even put on a costume. Well, we do. We dress up as radio hosts.
Right.
So that's what we're dressed up as. We sometimes have contests and stuff, have people come by the station, give away candy. I don't know what we're going to do, but just stay tuned. You'll hear a little spot for it later on.
It will be fun. It will be worth every minute.
That's the one guarantee that we can say. We may not know a lot, but it will be fun.
Yeah, a few years ago, somebody called in and he was like, I don't know about this show. It's just like listening to three guys sitting around talking. We were like, okay, well, thank you. That's kind of what we're going for.
Then mission accomplished.
Yes.
Our mission was accomplished. At a bar. Sitting around talking at a bar. That's what he said, yeah. That's right. Oh, that's fine. I can take that. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want it to sound scripted. I want it to sound natural, like we're just having fun, which is exactly what's going on. It's time we're going to flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre.
Gosh, are you okay?
Man, try to do that with asthma. I could never be a scuba diver. I have the first news. And, of course, it's from UPI. An inspection team working at a Delaware house slated for demolition made a surprising discovery. A message written on a beer bottle and concealed inside a wall in 1955. Where is this going, you say? Well, let's find out.
Where is this going?
An inspector identified only as David said he was conducting a hazardous material survey ahead of the home's planned demolition when he and his team found the Gunther beer bottle inside a wall. I've never heard of Gunther beer. Is that like a local beer somewhere up in Delaware? The message written on the bottle reads, quote, "This bottle was put here by the plumber on 3/25/55.
Wow.
Unquote. Quote, "I've never found anything like it after 17 years and over 3,000 demolition inspections of every type of building or facility that you can think of," David told Newsweek. And I'll bet he's seen a lot because he's a demolition guy. And the other quote that he said, I don't know if I was going to say this, but I will. He goes, "I'm just glad that it didn't have anything gross in it like urine." Okay. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good thing to be thankful for, because obviously maybe he has found one. Yeah. He has found some gross stuff during some of this demolition. So have you ever, and I went down the rabbit hole, of course, when I saw that, and somehow it led me to, you made a face. No, it's not a urine rabbit hole. Okay, it's not that. It's demolition rabbit hole. And I started looking at demolitions gone wrong. Have you ever seen that when they try to demolish a building?
Oh, yeah, and they don't fall down.
And either they don't fall down, they fall the wrong way. The smokestacks at the power stations that they demo the smokestacks, and they don't maybe always go the way they're going to go. There was one where they demoed a building, and these people were well beyond the safety levels. It fell, but you could see the dirt and the dust and everything, cloud coming toward them, and a half of a brick came right at the camera and went past the camera and didn't hit anybody.
So
I'm like, if that had hit somebody, it would have been another news story along with the demo. So, yeah.
So scary.
By the way, now this is local. This may not mean a lot to people that listen from far away. But locally here in northwest Georgia, there's a power plant in Rome called Plant Hammond. And I don't know, we have Plant Bowen here in Cartersville and New Harley. Well, there was one in Rome, Georgia, called Plant Hammond. And I would always see these giant smokestacks when I was a kid driving through Rome, Georgia, toward Atlanta or something as a kid with my dad. And there'd be a landmark. I'm like, oh, we're going by the power station, Plant Hammond. There's the giant smokestacks. And as a kid, I was always mesmerized by the lights blinking on them and everything. And I remember them fondly. They demolished that Georgia power plant last month, and I didn't know it. And I went up there like a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, "Where's the plant? It's gone." It was a landmark as a kid, and I always remembered it. Now they're gone. I think it just shows that time marches on.
It does.
Like my dad said, history is just one darn thing after another.
Very true.
And it just moves on.
Well, I've got the next historical.
Is it a historical one? Okay.
We'll see. I don't write these things.
I don't either. I just copy and paste.
Yeah, the UPI wrote this one for us. One of the strangest and most mysterious traditions at New Hampshire's Plymouth State University made its return with 2 pumpkins impaled on the spire of a large clock tower.
And they're really high up there. You can see a picture of it if you search for it.
Oh, I'll have to look that up today. Pumpkins have been placed on the twin spires of Round Tower, a large clock tower in the center of campus, every year since the 70s, except for 1 year when work was being done on the structure's roof. The decades-long tradition is a subject of much speculation on campus, but the people behind the annual pumpkin placement and their method of doing so remain shrouded in mystery.
Is it really?
Just how they get up there is a well-guarded secret, and conjuring the best, if far-fetched, tales of how it happens is a favorite campus pastime, the university's website states.
Could it, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, could it be witchcraft? Could it be magic?
It could be, or it could be a fraternity.
I mean, someone with drones and stuff, we could find out what's going on. If you're, I think that they play it up for scary as much as they can. I got the next news. Again from UPI, a nonprofit set up 12,952 boxes of cereal in Detroit, Michigan, and toppled them like dominoes to break a new Guinness World Record.
Oh, wow.
Move for Hunger attempted the feat this past Thursday at the Henry Ford Detroit Pistons Performance Center, aiming to break the record of 6,391, which was set by Long Beach Middle School in New York in 2021. I think we had that Long Beach Middle School record on our news flashes back in 2021, so now it's been broken. The cereal box domino chain was set off. Do you know who set the chain off, who started it?
I do not.
I'm going to give you a hint. It was a cereal mascot. So you got a lot to choose from, Walt. Who do you think they got to to topple over the first box to start it? It's a very popular cereal mascot, and they're still around today.
I'll go with Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. That's a good guess, but is incorrect. If I tell you this one, I mean, it's hard to do this because there's a bunch of mascots. It was Tony the Tiger. Tony the Tiger set it off.
That makes sense.
The boxes of cereal used in the attempt will now be donated to Forgotten Harvest and Gleaners Community Food Bank. So it was for a good cause, but that's a lot of cereal boxes. I wonder if they were empty or full. Probably empty.
Probably
empty.
empty.
But you know what? If they were empty, you got to be careful because that means they're light. So you can imagine setting up a cereal box that's light. I can only imagine the bottoms of them were filled with something.
Yeah, you've got
to weight them down. Could you imagine like doing the light ones? You're like, okay, we got almost the last one set up, and then no.
The wind comes along, the air conditioning comes on.
You mean I set them off too early? That's not great. That's terrible.
All right, Tony, I got the next news.
Guess what the first cereal box was, though?
What?
A is for Apple. Apple Jacks.
Oh, of course.
I'm kidding. It probably wasn't, but I was just trying to make a... It makes sense. That makes sense, though.
A Seattle woman with a collection of 5,631...
Is it odd? Is it an odd thing?
It's an odd thing.
Staples.
5,631 rubber ducks.
Rubber duckies?
Rubber duckies. Said she originally intended to quit collecting with only 7 of the toys. Charlotte Lee, 54, said she bought her rubber ducks in 1996 to decorate her bathroom. Lee now has 5,631 duckies, earning her the Guinness World Record for the largest collection of rubber ducks. She said her collection is still growing.
Ask any of our friends who collect stuff. It always just starts with 7 or 8 things. It's like, I'm just going to buy a few of these things. You know what I'm starting to buy where I thought I wasn't going to get them? I have vintage pocket radios.
Oh, really?
And now it's growing. I got to stop.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The way some business people spend their time has very little to do with a clock. At Apple, we understand that business as usual isn't anymore. That's why we make the most advanced personal computers in the world. And why soon there'll be just 2 kinds of people. Those who use computers.
Yeah, I'll be home for breakfast.
And those who use apples.
Hello there. You know, I've been all around this wonderful world of ours, and in all of this world, nothing else is silly putty. What is silly putty? Well, it's a real solid liquid. If you pull it so, it'll go forever, like taffy. But if you give it a sharp tug, it'll break like a biscuit. Now, when you make silly putty round and drop it, it'll bounce higher than a rubber ball. And here's something else you can do with silly putty. Flatten it, press a picture in your newspaper, lift it, stretch it this way and that, and you'll get something that's really funny. Always put your silly putty back in its egg, or it will run slowly away. You can buy silly putty for $1 wherever toys are sold.
And remember, nothing else is silly putty.
Now back to the show.
Oh, yeah.
When you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Yeah, abracadabra. That's magical. That's a wizard's that's a wizard's word. You know, that's Halloweeny. Halloweener. Halloweenier. Halloween. That works for me.
How I know.
How I know. I find it funny that Harry Potter, the movies and stuff and the books, the killing spell that they have that they can throw is it's something like Arava Cadaver or something like that. I know I said it wrong, but it's phonetically similar to abracadabra. is the word that she used. I'm like, okay, so that's the word that they used to kill people. That's terrible because that was the fun word as a magician when I was a kid. Abracadabra. That just means the magic trick works. That's what you use. Well, Halloween is getting close. I do have a story here that I want to talk about. I know that we'll probably talk more about it next Saturday because next Saturday's show will be the Saturday before Halloween, before our Halloween Spectacular special on Tuesday, next Tuesday, the 31st. But this comes from USA Today. Oh, it came from Google. It came from Fox. This came from so many locations that I just compiled it all into one little Halloween report here, and you'll see what I mean. We may have Walt try to guess some of these. Here are the most popular Halloween costumes of 2023. The country's in the thick of spooky season. If you're still deciding on a costume for Halloween, we can offer some ideas. Don't be surprised to see multiple iterations of Barbie at a Halloween party this year, as the cultural dominance of the Greta Gerwig film has the costume at the top of several lists. Oh, sorry, Walt. I may have just given away what the number one thing was. You can still guess, though. While pink may dominate overall, Frightgeist, another place, offers a variety of costume ideas for the young, old, and four-legged, meaning our pets. These are the most popular Halloween costumes for Halloween in 2023. For the first time in 3 years, witches have been knocked off their pedestal as the most searched for costume. So here's some of them that you may or may not be familiar with, some oldies but goodies. And what may be the upset of the year, Taylor Swift does not feature in the top Halloween costumes, not even in the top 20. I'm like, that's amazing.
That was
going
to be my guess.
She made the list at 22. She's 22nd on the list. I thought she's going to at least be in the top 5. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So I may have given it away. What do you think is the number one costume? This is over everything. Kids, adults, male, female, everything. What do you think is the number one hottest one right now?
Wow, my guess was going to be Taylor Swift. So,
oh, wow, okay. But she's 22.
So now she's
at number 22.
I've got 21 other choices ahead of me.
I actually said it earlier. I think I gave it away. But
you may have.
The movie made a whole lot of money over the past few months.
Oh, Barbie. Yeah, of course.
Barbie. Pink is the color. Yes. Barbie's number one. Now, number 2.
And Alan just texted Barbie.
He did. He's listening to the show. I appreciate him being out there listening. He's obviously not very busy right now. Or he's doing something and just listening on his iPod. It just says Princess is number 2, so I just get generic princess.
Generic princess.
Some of them don't need costumes for that. We have several princesses running around that think they are. They don't need a costume for it. I identify as a princess. Okay, I know you do. Boy, don't I know it.
All right, princess.
Number 3 is our only superhero on this top 10 list. I just have 10 of them. You're familiar with superheroes. You read comic books. You like the Marvel movies. You know your superheroes. You just know who they are. You know what they look like. What do you think? What one superhero made the list? And if anybody wants to play on the air, 770-386-1450 is our number. I'll talk it up a little bit. I may skip down to more, but if you want to guess what do you think? What superhero is on the list? On this list, I'll skip the superhero and go to a few more.
I hope I'm right about this. I'm going to say Superman.
You're going to say Superman. Okay, that's your vote. Let's see if anybody else wants to weigh in. There's also one that says witch, just a generic witch is on there. It's not the number one. It was the number one not too long ago. Fairy is the next one. Okay. Yeah. Fairy costumes. Yeah. You know, some people identify as a fairy too, and I know that. Hey, I'm just saying. The next one on the list. This is a Netflix series. I think she's on Netflix with this show, but she was also on a classic sitcom in the 60s called The Addams Family. Wednesday Addams is the next one on the list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was the 6th one.
That's a good character. That's
number 7 on the list. Just generic dinosaur.
Okay.
Dressed as a dinosaur.
Yeah,
that's really popular.
Cool dinosaur costumes.
Next up on the list, generic cowboy. Cowboy is still on the list.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's been how long have been people been dressing as cowboys since Ralphie in A Christmas Story. I mean, cowboys always
before
there.
That. Yeah.
Mrs. BK dressed up as a cowgirl once, and she loved it. She goes, "That was the best Halloween costume. I had the cowgirl hat, I had the fringe vest, and I had the 2 little silver cap gun 6-shooters on the side." She
Great
loved
costume.
It. She loved it. Next up on the list, number 9, a ninja.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
9, yeah.
I don't know if you're a really good ninja. You wouldn't be able to see you as a ninja. So, part of being a ninja is being stealth.
So for the spectacular, I could dress as a ninja and hide at home.
Right, but you love doing this so much that you
I
couldn't do
couldn't
that.
do that.
You'd be the only ninja that we could see.
Right.
You'd be here. You're like, and it'd be like, I choose for you to see me.
Largest ninja ever.
Largest ninja. LNE. Largest ninja ever. I'm not saying anything. And next, number 10 on the list. I want to take a crack at what number 10 is. It's another generic thing, and it's an animal. Believe it or
Oh, an
not.
animal, really?
So you got a generic princess on the list. You got it just says witch. It just says fairy. One of them says dinosaur, cowboy, ninja. This is another.
See,
this is an
before
animal.
you said that it was an animal, I was going to say like a soldier or GI Joe.
I'll give you another hint. This is an animal that's part of another holiday. Believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So that gives you a hint.
Turkey?
That's a good guess, but it's not turkey. That'd be funny. It's a turkey, and people love to dress as a turkey.
Big fat turkey.
Again, some of them don't need costumes for that.
Part of another holiday.
Yes, another holiday.
Wow.
That falls in April. Believe it or not.
Falls in April, so it's an April Fool.
No, well, it could be that, but it's not that one.
Okay, I'm stumped. So.
A bunny.
Oh, of course, Easter.
Bunny. It just says bunny is number 10. So do you did guess that's Superman,
yes,
right?
And Alan actually sent a guess too. He says Batman. So
You're both really, I will say this, those are two great guesses, but you're both in the wrong comic book company. You guys are in the DC Warner Brothers.
Okay.
This superhero is in Marvel.
So Iron Man.
It's another good guess.
Spider-Man.
That's it. The Amazing Spider-Man is on the list.
Yeah, that's
and I was kind of I wasn't surprised, but I was a little. The only reason I was a little surprised is there's no Spider-Man movie yet. There's nothing going on about Spider-Man right now. Usually that kind of ties into everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's Spider-Man, and I love Spider-Man.
Oh, I do too.
Spider-Man. He's not my favorite superhero. As I grew older, Captain America became my favorite superhero of all time due to his story, his background, how he became, and the way it was written. He's just my favorite, and Superman's probably my next favorite. But as a kid, my first comic book I ever bought was a Spider-Man comic book. I think it was 74, and it was 25 or 30 cents when I bought it.
Yeah.
And it was the Mind Worm was this weird. On the cover, it was a villain, the Mind Worm, that I think he only showed up a couple of times in Spider-Man, but it was the first one I ever bought, and I remember reading that comic book over and over again because for a while it was the only one I
latest
had.
iteration of Spider-Man or of Superman has not been my favorite, but he has always been my favorite character.
He is now, let's say this about Superman. I have like the guy who's played him. Henry Cavill is a great actor,
he's great, yeah.
and he's still my choice to this day for James Bond. If they're looking for a new Bond, and they still haven't announced anybody.
I know they haven't.
I don't know whether they're taking their own sweet time doing that. But there's just a little rundown of the biggest costumes that will be out there. That list may roll over to our Halloween Spooktacular. In fact, I know the movies that I'm going to talk about that I did Saturday and today, last Saturday and today and next Saturday, I'll probably roll those over into our Halloween Spooktacular because we're going to come up with our list of not your regular run-of-the-kill scary movies.
Yes.
We'll talk about a few of those. We'll come up with more than one, and I'll roll over the ones I talked about here over the past few Saturdays there, because not everybody's going to listen to both shows, and those still hold true. And one of them's not on my list for this week, but I'm going to play a radio spot coming up. There's a trailer coming up and I play radio spots for movies because they're radio spots and not TV trailers, because usually TV trailers tend to be more visual than you can listen, because we're obviously on the radio. So I'd rather play a radio spot, which is a much more descriptive way of doing a trailer. But the one I'm going to play today is from 1981, a horror film in 1981 from a prominent horror author, which is not Stephen King.
Okay.
It's another one. I'll actually tell you the author. I think his name was Peter Straub. You may have heard of him.
Okay.
He wrote a book, and they made a movie about it. And from what I understand, I've never read the book about this spot that I'm going to play, but it's a horror film. It has a fantastic cast of older actors at the time. They were very older actors when they were in this. In fact, I think a couple of them passed away not long after this movie was made. So it's a horror film, and usually when we do our favorite ghost films, you and I and Alan will talk about, usually Poltergeist always is high on that list because it's a great ghost movie. This one to me is almost up there with Poltergeist. It's like my number 2 favorite ghost film that's about a ghost. And what's worse about just a ghost is a ghost seeking revenge. That makes it even worse.
Oh.
Which is kind of what the Poltergeists do.
Not Casper.
No, it's not Casper. But I started thinking about Casper the other day because people start showing, the Ben Cooper costumes we used to wear as kids with the rubber band masks.
Yes, great costumes.
I did have a Casper. That was I think it might have been my first Halloween costume was Casper. And I always think about the cartoon, because I used to watch the cartoon from Harvey Toons, Casper. You had Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and you had all those cartoons that were part of the Harvey Toons that were connected. And I'm thinking, how horrible would it be? It's like, oh, it's Casper, the friendly ghost. And later as an adult, I started thinking about it. I'm like, I was watching a little animated show about a little kid that died. That's what it's about. And I'm like, it's so morbid.
Very disturbing.
I'm sure there's a backstory out there somewhere that tells how Casper, the little kid, got killed.
I don't.
It's terrible. It's like sometimes I just want to stay a kid where I don't ask questions like that and examine it.
Yes, don't
Casper.
go too deep.
Casper, the friendly. Well, he must have died happily because he's not a vengeful ghost. He's very sweet. So maybe that's it. Maybe it was not really bad. Maybe he just passed away or whatever. I don't see. I'm still talking about it. I don't even want to talk about that.
I know.
Casper,
it's
the
one
little
of those
dead
things
kid
that you
ghost.
want to talk about,
terrible.
But you don't want to talk about.
I know it's terrible. But he is a ghost and he's a little kid. We'll have more of this talk when we come back. I got On This Day in History when we come back after the top of the hour. I had to really work on this one because there's not a lot of things I can talk about that fit the template of this show for On This Day in History. But I did find a few things and some birthdays and some national day ofs. It's October. We're leading up to Halloween. Later on, Walt and I will tell you our not so well-known horror movie.
And now, these messages.
Hello, I'm Vincent Price. For many years now, mankind and his offspring have been searching for an alternative to peanut butter and jelly. After employing the latest methods in technology, the Peter Paul Candy Company has found the alternative to peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter with no jelly. Pure, creamy peanut butter dotted with Crispies, covered with pure milk chocolate, but no jelly. I'm sure you're as pleased as I am.
We're at Monster Stadium. Frankenberry steps to the plate.
I'll fill it with my delicious strawberry-flavored cereal, Frankenberry.
You're out! A good, nutritious breakfast with Count Chocula is a real hit.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Both you guys are batty.
Star Trek, the motion picture, collector's close-ups.
It's Mr. Spock and Lieutenant Uhura.
You can get Star Trek, the motion picture, collector's close-ups. 2 on each specially marked box of the Monster cereals.
Identify for retina scan.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Yeah, that's right. I'm back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. And hey, guess what? Halloween is right around the corner, so let's get some safety tips.
Hey, kids, here comes Peter Pumpkin. For a safe Halloween, do what Peter does. Wear a light-colored costume short enough so you don't trip. If you wear a mask, make sure you can see. Makeup's better. Don't crisscross the street. Call on one side, then the other. Parents set boundaries and a time to be home. Carry a flashlight for extra safety. And let's all have a safe Halloween.
Set boundaries. That happens to me now. How about you? Our wonderful better halves actually take care of that.
Yes, they do.
Let us know and take care of us. By the way, that wear a mask and be able to see, that was optional when we were a kid.
Oh, no.
I mean, that Ben Cooper mask with the rubber band, you could maybe only see halfway out of it and maybe sort of breathe if you were lucky. If it had a little slit in the mouth part there. You could breathe.
Safety and survival were not high
for us,
on the list.
not in
of
the
that.
70s, and even worse in the 60s and the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we didn't take they're like, okay, is the costume cool looking? Yes. Will the kids love the costume? Oh, yeah, the kids will love the costume. We think it'll be a great addition to our costume line. Is it safe for the kids to wear? Well, they'll love the costume, believe me. They just kind of ignore the
Will
costume.
they buy the costume?
Yes.
That was the question.
They will. That was the
buy
question. Is it safe? That's a technicality.
50-50.
Let's do a little On This Day in History. I told you how Halloween is right around the corner. It is. Today is October 21st, and we like to do On This Day in History. And boy, did I had to search for a few on this one because there weren't a lot, but I did manage to find a few. 1879. I went back to 1879 to find this one, and you'll see why. Thomas Edison applies for a patent on his design for an incandescent light bulb on this day in history.
Wow.
In 1875.
That's pretty big.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that's big.
Because we would have been doing things in the dark all in the night.
Until the LED was invented.
Or using candles, and that's a fire hazard. You know, I saw an old movie the other day that was set in the 30s or the 20s or something, or even one that was even further back than that. And they showed one of the Christmas trees with candles on it, lit candles.
Crazy?
And I look at that and I'm like, that's like Halloween. That scares me. That's a scare looking thing. And
So
how many
frightening.
fires broke out? And I know they kept an eye on it. Probably they had sense back then to do that.
Well, in family lore,
But
every
it's like,
family has
wow.
that aunt or whoever
Yeah.
that caught on fire.
You know,
And
it's
it was
like,
stuff like
caught
that.
on fire. I never did, thank goodness.
No.
I never did. And I never got caught on fire. 1973 on this day in history. Let's go back 50 years on the radio. On the Billboard chart. What do you think the number one song was 50 years ago in 1973? I will give you the artist. It's the Rolling Stones. Had the number one hit in 1973. This was a early 70s hit for them. And you're thinking, I'll give you another hint. It was the name of a girl. Was the name of the song.
Wow, man, I'm not doing well today.
And you'll
okay,
hit yourself
Rolling
in the head like
Stones.
you could have had a V8 when I tell you what it is.
So that would have to okay.
Angie. Yeah,
Oh,
so
man.
50 years ago. 50 years ago,
That's
73.
the most startling part of that is that it was.
How about
50 years
this? How
ago.
startling is this? 40 years ago in 1983, what movie opened on this day in 1983, 40 years ago? It's a Stephen King film, believe it or not.
Oh, would that be it?
No, it's not it. It was a TV movie, and that was much later. Or TV miniseries.
Okay, so Stephen King. That is going to be. Not
And Christopher Walken was in
Amityville.
this, I think. I think Christopher Walken was
Man,
in
he
this.
had so many great ones.
Yeah.
Not Christine.
No,
Not,
Christine was
okay, I'm
earlier
stumped on
year.
this one, too.
The Dead Zone.
The Dead Zone.
Is 40 years
Wow.
old today.
I don't think I would have pulled that one
40
out.
years
but
ago.
That's a great movie.
And we talked about this movie last week. It opened last week, but on this day in history, 40 years ago, isn't that great that last Saturday I could talk about it, and this Saturday I can talk about it. October 21st, 1983, 40 years ago, number one at the box office, Never Say Never Again, Sean Connery's return to James Bond.
Great
A
movie.
remake of Thunderball, which I catch a lot of crap from the Bond fans on Twitter, X, because I always go, Never Say Never Again is better than Thunderball.
It is
I
better
liked
than
it better than
Thunderball.
Thunderball, but
I thought
don't
it was
say
better
that to
than Thunderball.
hardcore Bond fans.
I
They'll
know.
get you. They'll get you.
I know they will, but and I'm a hardcore Bond fan.
Oh, yeah.
Bond fan. I think it's better.
And again, the history behind that is that the screenplay to Thunderball is not copyrighted. It fell
Right.
out of copyright for some reason,
Yep.
which means they could remake it again with another actor if they wanted to. There was talk.
I'm remaking it today.
You're going to remake it. Who are you
Yes.
casting as Bond, by
Me.
the way? You're going to be Bond? Okay.
Yes.
That's fine. You going to wear that cool sweater you have
Yes,
on?
this-
It's fine.
yes.
He's wearing a beautiful sweater
My
here in the
drug
studio.
rug.
By the way, there was talk a few years ago after Timothy Dalton was done as Bond and Pierce Brosnan took over to bringing Timothy Dalton back and do it again and call it Warhead and make another Bond film about Thunderball. And it never went through. Let's go back 40 years ago again for this one on the Billboard chart. What do you think was number one on the Billboard chart 40 years ago? I'll tell you something. Something astronomy-like happened last week that has something exactly to do with this song. Something happened in the sky that you could look at.
Well, there was an eclipse.
Right.
So the heart.
Total Eclipse of the Heart was number one on this day,
Finally got one
19.
today.
That song is 40 years
That
old.
just does not seem right.
I think that song was produced by Jim Steinman, the guy that always produced the Meatloaf songs.
Yes, I was
because
about
they
to
always
say,
had that sound, that Jim Steinman sound.
Yeah, he produced "Bat Out of Hell"
Yep.
and
Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Yeah,
he had his. I think he had his own album too. He's more of a producer than a
Yeah.
singer, I guess. Birthdays today. See, that was it. That was it on the state history. That's all I could find. I couldn't find any more incidents, but that's okay. It was all music and movies.
Well, a year from now, people will be saying that this episode of BK on the Air aired originally.
Who's going to say that, though? I would like
We
to
will.
know. We will. We'll say it.
We'll
Okay.
say that in 6
Hey,
years.
If it
when-
gets as bad as it did this time, I may have to put it on the list to make sure I could talk about something. Birthdays on this day. Today is Joyce Randolph's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Now, if that name
Yeah.
rings a bell, she played Trixie on The Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason. And it's kind of interesting to think that she's the only cast member left
only
alive.
surviving cast
and
member.
she's
I
on.
saw
She's
that
way on up
earlier
there.
this week. That is
and
crazy.
she's great, by the way. She was great as Trixie. She was Trixie slash, and then they went on in the Flintstone. It was Betty Rubble that was
Yes.
like her.
Mhm.
So because as we know, Honeymooners is
Now,
the
was she
Flintstones.
younger than the other
other way
cast
around.
members, or just?
I think she was younger than Audrey Meadows. I do think she was a little younger. Yeah. So, and I don't remember her for a lot more than that. So
No,
she
I
probably
don't
did more. I
either.
think she might have did Broadway and some stage stuff. Today is Judith Schindlin's birthday today. If that name doesn't ring a bell, she turned 81 years old today. You may know her as Judge Judy. She turns 81 today.
Wow.
I loved watching Judge Judy and watch her give people what for all the time and put them in their place. Great. Today is Everett McGill's birthday, an actor. He was in Dune, Silver Bullet, License to Kill with Timothy Dalton. You'd know him if you saw him. You know who he's got. Turns into the werewolf in Silver Bullet, another Stephen King film. And today, I got another birthday, but I'm going to save it till we come back from a break because it's kind of a special birthday of an actress that passed away in 2016 that I'm sure you and I had a crush on when a big movie that came out in 77 with her in it. And I'll tell you about it. It's BK on the Air. We'll go back and visit her when we come back. It's BK on the Air.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
We'll return after these messages.
We're lost. My fault, but you... Oh!
Neither!
Food? Yes, crunchy food. C-3POs.
New Kellogg's C-3POs. Twin rings phase together for a crunchy new force at breakfast.
Yeah, the Force is with us.
A delicious part of this nutritious breakfast.
Okay. More? Of course. How much? Oh, my.
C-3POs, a new force at breakfast.
Take away his laser pistol, Lobot. You'll pay for this, Lando Calrissian.
Han Solo and other action figures each sold separately.
Outnut, check the carbon freezing chamber. Ready, sir. Why did you do it? The Empire tricked me, Han. I had no choice. Prepare for freezing. Long live the Alliance. Goodbye, my friend.
Lando Calrissian and Han Solo, Ugnaught, and Lobot action figures each sold separately. From Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection. From Kenner.
WBHF.
You've been so busy being a princess, you haven't learned how to be a woman. I could have helped you. But it's too late. Your big opportunity's flying out of here, sweetheart. Right now.
I think I can survive.
Good luck.
You don't care about all those people depending on you
Spare me, please. Don't tell me about the rebellion again. Don't you think about anything else. I'm sorry, but you're as cold as this planet.
And you think you're the one to apply some heat.
I could, but I'm not really interested anymore. We'll meet again. Maybe by then you'll have warmed up a little.
You have all the breeding of a vampire and just about as much charm. Enjoy your trip, Hotshot.
Yeah, there we go. It's a little Empire Strikes Back scene, and if that didn't sound exactly familiar, I played the deleted scene there on the end, which was kind of not left in the film. Today would have been Carrie Fisher's birthday. She died in 2016, our princess. I told you before we went to the break, I'm sure we both had a crush on this person in the 70s from a movie as Princess Leia. And yes, I did. I fell in love with Princess Leia when it came out. And that spot right there was from The Empire Strikes Back when they're arguing about Han hanging around, and a little extra zinger there at the end that they didn't leave in the movie, which I thought was interesting to play. So
it's hard to believe that she passed away in 2016.
Wow, really? It's been that long. And I think that about my dad. Oddly enough, I think about when my dad, every year that goes by, it gets further and further away, and I start thinking, my dad passed away in 2011, and for the longest time it was like, oh, Dad passed away a year ago. It was only a couple of years ago my dad passed away. You know, it's a lot longer than that now, and gets longer every year we go by.
I know. I lost my mom at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020.
There you go. So you know how it feels.
Yeah, it's weird.
And Alan lost his dad, and now I'm sure he marks it every year, and it just gets further away and further away as we go. It's always National Something Day, and today is National Apple Day.
Oh.
Do you have – there's so many types of apples, and I do like certain ones. I have 2 or 3 that are my favorite kind, and some people are wrong. Some people come up to me and go, oh, apples, they all taste alike. They're just an apple. I'm like, you couldn't be more wrong saying that. But do you have a favorite apple? When you go get apples, you have one that tastes the best to you that you like?
If I go to the grocery store, I'll usually grab a Red Delicious or a Fuji.
Red Delicious is very good. I think Fuji is Mrs. BK's favorite apple, and it's good too. I do like the Ambrosia apple. Have you ever had that one? Yeah. Honey Crisp is another good one. I have to stay away from the real sweet ones because I don't like them to be too sickly sweet. Mm-hmm. So that's why my favorite apple is a cooking apple that you usually cook with. Granny Smith, the green
Granny
ones.
Smith, those are
I love those because I like the tartness of the apple with Granny Smith. It's still a little, it's still sweet there. There's still a little bit of it, but I like to be a little more on the tart side.
My daughter Caroline, who does some bits on your show. From
She
time to
does. You
time.
hear her from time to time on here.
She
yeah.
and her boyfriend went to the mountains this week and brought back a bunch of apples. So
Did they go to the
feasting
apple
on this.
orchard?
They did. Yeah, they
nice.
did.
I go up there a lot to that place.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them up there. There's 2 or 3 of them up there.
Yeah,
but
we
there's
like
one
to
big
go
one
this year.
good,
Haven't made it yet because of the baby coming. But
Do you know what else I don't know which one you went to, but there's a big one in North Georgia that tons of apples and stuff. But they have other things in there, and we get something else from there that aren't apples that they have that's fantastic. They fix other things because they have a little deli area in there too.
Oh yeah,
they have some of the best. We get some of our best chicken salad from an apple orchard place.
Really?
We do because it's got great.
Is that the B.J. Reese?
I don't know what. I think the one. Well, the one we're talking about is. And I've heard it pronounced 2 or 3 different ways. I always say it's Mercer's.
Oh yeah, right.
Mercer's Orchard is the one I'm talking about. But they have a chicken salad they make there, and it is by far. I'm like, funny. You should get your best chicken salad at an apple place. It's really good though. She loves it every time we go up there. She gets it.
Used to get up there in the next.
I think she just went yesterday. My better half was on her way up to North Georgia and stopped by there on the way up there. So today is National Apple Day. Today is also National Reptile Awareness Day.
Oh,
I'm aware of reptiles, aren't you?
Yeah. In fact, I got a news thing earlier today that yesterday a guy got bit by a rattlesnake in Georgia.
Oh, really?
I meant to mention that on the show earlier today.
Was he
a timber
surprised
rattler,
by it? Or
I don't know what was going on. It was kind of a breaking news thing.
That's going to ruin his day.
Yeah, that is my biggest.
Oh, wow.
My biggest.
And one of our regular listeners of the show in WBHF, Chris, he's out there. Sometimes he comes by and sees us and sees Alan. He's a reptile guy. He promotes reptiles. He owns a few, and he has them. And he comes by the station. And he's got sometimes his little bearded dragon on his shoulder. He comes around with a little snake and stuff. And I love it. I think they're great because he's not going to walk around with a poisonous one.
No.
So he has the little he'll come up with some of the snakes that aren't poisonous, and I'll pet it. They don't bother me. I think it's just fascinating. And
I'm on a couple of the snake identification pages because I'm trying to learn which ones are the bad ones, which ones are the good ones.
Well, you're a detective. You're a PI. You want to know who the snake in the grasses are.
Oh yeah, there are a few of those around too.
You want to make sure you know who the snakes are.
Yeah, but me and snakes, I'm kind of like Indiana Jones.
Well, poisonous ones, I give them a wide berth. I don't want to have anything to do with the poisonous ones, and nor should you. Leave them alone.
Yeah, let them do their deal.
Just get out of their way and respect them. What? And today is also another day. Today, I'll give you a little hint of what day it is.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style? Besides, the stainless steel construction made the flux dispersal. Look out!
If you haven't guessed, today is Back to the Future Day.
That is
October
absolutely right.
The 21st. It's celebrated on October 21st because that's the date Marty McFly originally travels back to the past and sets in motion his undoubtedly existential adventure of Back to the Future. In fact, they'll post all those little pictures on the internet today. You'll see them of the little time machine, the little readout with all the numbers on it. It'll have October 21st on it, and they'll have
this
it. So
the day.
Today is Back to the Future Day. And I have a Back to the Future story. Do I have time to do it right now? I don't think I do it because I'm running out of time. From MeTV, this was interesting. The men behind Back to the Future wrote this eerie TV episode from the past. 10 years before Marty rode a skateboard, a headless ghost on a motorcycle terrorized people on a TV series. The teenage years, 16 Candles, aimless joyrides and the forbidden taste of beer, a time the world allows for sowing one's wild oats. Is this a line about the teenage coming-of-age movie Back to the Future where Marty McFly longs to take his girlfriend to the lake for the weekend? Or maybe it's about his parents when he goes back in time to their teenage years. Actually, this is the opening narration to an episode called Chopper, an episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker, near the end of the show's one-season run it had. And Buddy, it was one of the most popular shows to ever run. It only had one season in syndication and a cult following. Kolchak was known for bringing such creepy characters as zombies, vampires, and demons to the small screen, And this episode did not disappoint. You know, he worked for a newspaper. He was a reporter going out and checking all these things out long before the X-Files ever did it. Now, when a land developer moves the coffin of a beheaded motorcyclist, the writer's rest is disturbed and becomes back to life. Like a modern-day Ichabod Crane, this headless spirit rides around on his steed, which is a motorcycle, and terrorizes the community, specifically the members of a rival biker gang who killed him. Here's another ghost looking for revenge. His vengeance comes in the form of lopping off heads like the Headless Horseman. The story follows Kolchak as he tries to get this spirit back to rest. The writers behind Kolchak are already an impressive bunch. Previously, we knew in the past how Sopranos writer David Chase worked on some of the episodes, but the minds behind this episode, Chopper, the high adrenaline tale, are especially unique. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis worked on the story for Chopper back on the Kolchak the Night Stalker. Now, you recognize those names? In 1975, when this episode aired, maybe you didn't. Of course not, but 10 years later, in 1985, they would have a smash hit with their movie Back to the Future, and it's Happy Back to the Future Day. See how it all ties in here, and it's scary for Halloween. Written by the duo and directed by Robert Zemeckis. The episode was directed by him, too, so... Well, I mean, I'm sorry, Zemeckis directed Back to the Future, the movie, but he wrote the episode from Kolchak. It went on, the movie, Back to the Future, went on to make nearly $400 million on just a $19 million budget. And even $400 million back in 85 was a lot of money. Of course, the hero in the story rides a skateboard, Marty, and later a hoverboard, not a motorcycle. Now, when you watch this spooky episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker, called Chopper, keep an eye out for similarities to the later cultural phenomenon of Back to the Future. After all, it says, history tends to repeat itself. You can catch Kolchak the Night Stalker on MeTV Saturdays at midnight. What a time to play Kolchak the Night Stalker. I wish they'd play it earlier than that, but it's great. And I remember watching Kolchak the Night Stalker some when I was a kid, and it scared me.
I do too. I remember watching that whole season at some point.
Right.
And it is a scary show.
It only ran
so
for a
good.
season, and it should have ran longer. That proves to me that when a good show like that you discover later gets canceled, that just means that people just didn't get it back then. But you get it later, and it's too late because the show's already been canceled.
Yeah.
Star Trek did it. A lot of shows were not popular when they were on, but
Arrested Development,
and then they brought it back, didn't they? At one point,
they did. That's terrible.
So, I mean, come on. Stacy's watching a show now, which was fairly popular. She's watching a show now called Manifest, about that jet that had the passengers on it. They disappeared in a storm, and they came back 5 years later, and they couldn't account for their whereabouts. She's watching it, and it got canceled. I told her, I said, the show got canceled, so they didn't get to do an ending. Well, the fans demanded it, and the creators went, well, we got to have an ending to the show. So they made an ending. Netflix made it possible for them to do a last season and make it end, and I thought that was great, too. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I've watched the first couple episodes. I need to get back on that one, but
she likes
you
it.
Can't just watch passively.
It's like one long, weird Twilight Zone episode.
Yes.
It's very weird, but little Back to the Future. Happy Back to the Future Day, and Kolchak the Night Stalker.
We will return after these messages.
We are the Freakies, and this is a freaky street. We never miss a meal, cause we love our cereals. This is the big boss, we call him Boss Moss. Make sure you spell it right.
Snorkeled off, they call me so handsome and pretty.
He's little ham-host.
He's got a weird nose.
Do I really have to sing?
My name is Grumble.
I am Tumumble.
You're standing on my foot.
Gargold is his name.
Now, this is my game. I know more than you do.
Says you.
And don't forget me, I'm goody-goody. I always do what's right. For instance, I eat freaky cereal because it's got a lot of vitamins, and it's good for me.
You too can have crunchy, freaky cereal as part of your good breakfast. And there's a free freaky in specially marked boxes.
Okay, here comes the big finish. We are the Freakies. We are the Freakies. This is a freaky treat.
We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing.
It's a big world, and nobody knows more about helping kids grow into it than Flintstones, with all the vitamins kids need.
We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing. We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong.
Flintstones, America's favorite.
And growing.
What are you afraid of? Some fear being alone in the dark. Some fear the darkness inside themselves. Some fear what the future will bring. Some fear what has lived in the past. But given the right time and the right place, there's one thing we're all afraid of. A ghost story. Ghost Story. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Another one of those movies where I'm probably going to talk about at Halloween night as being not your usual run-of-the-kill Halloween movie that you might not think of to watch on Halloween as a scary thing to put you in the mood for Halloween and stuff. A book by Peter Straub, which I never read, but I've always heard the movie is very different from the book, like it usually always is. But that's what I was talking about was Ghost Story by Peter Straub. And if you've never seen it, it's a fantastic movie. Still sticks to me to this day as one of my favorite ghost films of all time. And listen to this cast that's in it. It stars Fred Astaire.
Oh, wow.
Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Melvin Douglas, and John Houseman. That was a lot of these guys, it was their last film, because even in 1981, they were getting on up there as being, the older actors, pretty long in the tooth at that point. But I think it's Craig Wasson was the main young lead in it. He went on to be in a Body Double. That Brian De Palma movie, Body Double. He was in a few things. And Patricia Neal was even in it. Patricia Neal, the classic actress.
Really?
From way back. Because, remember, originally Patricia Neal played in the original Walton's Homecoming movie as Mrs. Walton.
Right.
So there you go. Ghost Story. If you've never seen it, or if you saw it once and forgot about it, go back and check it out, because it is it's rated R, by the way, for several reasons. But the woman that played the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact, Alice Cringe, the English actress, she plays the female ghost in Ghost Story.
Really?
And it was probably one of the most chilling performances you'll ever see, because again, it's one of those revenge stories. The story is back in the early, back in the 30s or the 20s or something. These men, when they were in college, they met this lady, kind of a little loose lady in the 20s, if you get my drift.
Yes.
Went out on a date with one of them, and he got kind of mad at her for some reason, and they were all in her house together, and he got mad at her for telling him a secret about the guy that he didn't want him to know. And he got in a fit of rage, grabbed her and kind of threw her and says, "Don't you talk about me," and threw her against the marble fireplace and hit her head, and she looked like she was dead. Well, guess what? They're like, okay, she's dead. We can't put up with a scandal. We're all in college. We got things to do. You want to go into politics. You want to be a doctor. I have this. You have that. We need to conceal this death. So they have actually put her in one of the little Model A old cars and push the car off into the lake, the frozen lake. It breaks the ice and goes into the water. But as the car is, and I'm not giving away the whole movie, this is just kind of the premise. As the car starts to sink in the water, they can see her head in the back of the car, and she gets up and wakes up. She's not dead. It just knocked her out. But she didn't make it out of the car and drowned anyway. So guess what?
Gosh.
Many years later, she comes back for revenge on these old men, because they're old men later in the 80s. So that's what the whole movie's about. John Irwin directed it. He's a great director. He directed an HBO movie about World War II. You may remember it. It was called When Trumpets Fade. I think it was a Korean.
Yeah.
It was about the Korean War. I think
Uh-huh.
it was a great film. He directed that, and he's a good director. It was very well made. But it differs from the book, because somebody read the book and said Ghost Story is nothing like the book, because in the book she's a shapeshifter and can turn into like dogs and insects and things and get revenge on them on so many different ways. But I loved Ghost Story, and it was a fantastic film. 770-386-1450 is our number here. It's BK on the Air on WBHF. Somebody's on the line right now. Let's find out what's going on. Hey, it's BK on the Air. Hello.
Talking about Ghost Story?
Yeah, I love that movie. I love it.
I have a quick funny story. I was in middle school, and I was making out with a girl while Ghost Story was on HBO.
Like we all have at one point or another.
This is the rated G version. She got irritated with me because we're making out, and she notices I'm watching the movie. Out of the corner of my eye, she goes, "You're watching the movie, not paying attention to me." Anyway, it just evoked a funny memory when you're talking about Ghost Story.
I take it you're not still with this girl, right?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay. Yeah, great movie. What a cast, too, man, in that film. Can you believe all the men that were in that movie? And they passed away not too long after it, but they had a great cast.
Yeah, John Houseman's one of the best for sure.
Oh, it was great. All right.
Take it easy.
All right, appreciate it. Bye-bye. Yeah, I don't think that no one could ever accuse me of going to a movie with a girl and not paying attention to the girl. I don't care what the movie was, but that was I would never have done that. But I've done a lot of things in a movie theater before. I even fell asleep during a film.
Oh,
in a film.
I've done that.
And you know what? It was a later movie. The only movie, and Alan hates this because he loves the movie. It's a Christopher Nolan film, And we went to Universal Studios in Orlando once, and we had a package deal of tickets where you go, you get lodging at one of the resorts.
yeah,
Then along with your admission, you're like 4-day admission and free snacks and meals. It's a package you buy. You get one free ticket because they have a AMC theater there, a movie. Of course, it's Universal. They're going to have a movie theater there, of course, to show maybe a Universal movie or whatever. And we saw Inception, the movie by Christopher Nolan with DiCaprio. And there's several factors of why I fell asleep during this film. One of the factors is I'd walk the park all day.
Oh, yeah.
And you go from being hot, riding rides, and it's fun. You're hot, riding rides, walking, fun. You're going to lose some weight, which I did, and it's hot. Then you go into a comfortable movie theater chair that's air-conditioned after all day of that.
And you're out.
That's the first reason. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to last. Second reason, movie was boring. I just could not do it. I'm just not and I'm not a fan of that director anyway. I know he's popular and I know he's successful, but I always told people, and before I knew it, I was being elbowed in the ribs. I'm like, what? She's like, you're snoring. You said you started snoring. Don't snore. We're in a movie theater.
It's
I'm
one
like,
thing to fall
sorry.
asleep. It's a different thing to start snoring.
I'm so sorry, but I couldn't stay awake for it. So that's the only time that ever happened to me at a movie. Now I've fallen asleep during movies at home.
Oh, I do it
all the time on the couch.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
But yeah, I'm not a Christopher Nolan fan. I know people love the Batman films he did, and Inception, and that movie Dunkirk. Dunkirk was okay. It was about a subject matter that I liked.
That was a good movie.
But when I saw the trailer for the one that came out, Tenet that came out, I saw the trailer, and when I started hearing people review it and talk about it, how they're like, well, you have to watch it like 7 times to get it, and sometimes the sound, you can't hear what's going on. I'm like, number one, that would just annoy me.
Yep.
And number two, I'm like, I've just decided I just don't think I'm smart enough to watch Christopher Nolan films. I'm just not smart enough.
Whenever people start going, here's what you have to do to enjoy this movie, I'm like,
I can't. I'm like,
no,
I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to do all that. I shouldn't have to. He's the filmmaker. I don't have to jump through hoops to get your movie. Come on, do it right.
No, just give me a
Don't
movie
do
that I can turn my brain off. And
you want to call 770-386-1450 is our number. Call like Chance did and check in with us. You can add to the Halloween talk. Come up and tell us a movie that you liked or whatever and what you like to do on Halloween. We'll entertain just about anything you want to talk about. By the way, before the show is over today, we're ticking up toward the end. After the next break, I want to give Walt a quiz, another one of those MeTV quizzes.
Oh, boy.
And sometimes I give them to Alan when we're on the air, and I take them beforehand. I take them the night before I bring them in and do the quiz. Well, today I want to do the quiz. The quiz is called, Can You Match the Scary Movie, because it is October, to its tagline? Every movie had a tagline. Like it's Jaws was like, just when you thought it was, or Jaws 2 was just when you thought it was safe to go in the water. Jaws 2. That was its tagline. So I got most of these. One of them I missed. I don't know why, but there's some of them that are easy. I think you'll like it. It's kind of cool.
I think I'll like
the lines
it.
of October.
It'll be interesting to see if I can get these.
And so, we're going to, how long before we take a break? We're going to take a break here in about a minute. We're going to take a break here, probably about 30 seconds. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to come back with a song that was number one. This song was number one on this day, and not any funny like 30 or 40 or 50 years ago, but it was number one on this day back in 1962, and it has a lot of history behind it. So I'll tell you about that song when we come back, and then we'll go into the quiz.
Okay.
And see if you get some stuff right. But this song that was number one on this day in 1962 is just a perfect Halloween song. And some more history behind this song is it's the first song I had that I heard as a kid that I requested on a radio station, my local radio station, and they played it.
Wow.
Mom's like, go ahead and call the radio station. I'm like, okay. She called up on the rotary phone. Hey, do you have a request? Yeah, this is Bear. My name is Barry King, and I want to request. And I said the name of the song. He played the song and said my name on the air. And that may have been the first place I fell in love with radio and wanted to be on the radio. Got my song played.
That's a mind-blowing moment, isn't it?
I'll tell you about the song and the quiz when we come back. It's BK on the air. Halloween's coming.
Why so glum, chum? I lost all my trick-or-treat candy. Take some of mine. Wow, Hershey bars, Mr. Goodbar, Kit Kats, Rolos, whatchamacallit, Reese's, all my favorites. Let's go get some more. Sure.
Nobody Reese's, boom to Hershey's. Jaws. 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 Jaws is the game where you try to fish out what's in the jaws of the great white shark.
I'm going for the camera. Made it.
But be careful, because if you remove the wrong piece, the jaws will get you. You're out. Jaws. It's you against the great white shark and each other from Ideal.
I was so happy when they played this on the radio when I was a kid.
He did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash.
Let's do the monster mash. Good old Bobby Boris Pickett doing his best Boss Karloff, and it's a pretty good impression too. He sounds just like Boss Karloff with his lisp.
That's great.
There, that was the song I was talking about before we went to a break. I called that into a radio station locally growing up as a kid, and they said my name and played it on the radio. I think I was 5 years old, and I was like running around happy the rest of the day that they played my song. Loved that song as a kid. Well, a little history about that song. Today, in 1962, the Monster Mash was #1 on the radio. And it rose to #1 on the Billboard chart and Hot 100 chart just before Halloween and stayed there for several weeks. The song was released months earlier by Boris Karloff, and recorded with Gary S. Paxton, Leon Russell, and Johnny McRae, Ricky Page, and Terry Berg, who credited themselves as the Crypt Kickers. The song, co-written by Pickett and Leonard Capizzi, featured on the album. The original Monster Mash was a hit in the United States, but it was actually banned in the UK because the BBC felt it was too morbid. I'm like, really? After all those Hammer Dracula films you guys show, you think the Monster Mash was too morbid for radio? It's harmless. It's Boris Karloff. 770-386-1450 is our number. Somebody's calling right now. Hello, it's BK on there. Hello.
Hey man, what's going on?
Not much. Did you like the Monster Mash?
I love the Monster Mash and used to go skating around Thanksgiving. They played it all the time.
It's great. It's a great song. I mean, I have fond memories of it, and it was #1 on the radio today in 1962.
Yeah, I actually sang that song.
I did too, not well, but you don't have to sing that song well.
No,
it's not required that you sing it well. Yeah, good memories, Jeff. Good stuff.
Yes, love it. I'm ready to play that.
All right, buddy. Well, I'm glad you're out there. Halloween's right around the corner. Make sure to listen to our Halloween Spooktacular on Halloween night if you get a chance.
I am. Hey, I want to congratulate Alan and Phil in today. He's done a good job.
Yeah, Walt is here.
Well,
He's right
thank
here
you.
with me.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, Walt, you have. You've done great. So.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thanks. And by the way, Jeff, the check I gave you to tell Walt that, don't cash it until Monday, okay?
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah,
buddy.
I just put it on the counter.
All right. Thanks. Good to talk to you, Jeff. Bye-bye. So, yeah,
Yeah, see you,
I was
buddy.
just kidding.
It has to be cash. It's always cash.
Well, I said that we're going to do it. Let's go ahead and do it right now from MeTV. Sometimes I grab these quizzes and give them to Alan, but this one is a Halloween-like one. It's about horror films, and it says, this is the quiz. I'm going to give it to Walt. Can you match the scary movie to its tagline?
We shall see.
A movie is the proud owner of several taglines throughout its theatrical and home release promotion, each of them fascinating and quotable. In this quiz, we're going to give you just one of the movie's taglines and ask you to match it up with the correct movie. If you see a blank, think of it as a fill-in blank and guess the movie title if it's in the title. So there's going to be 10 questions, and you're going to get graded on it at the end. It's going to automatically grade you. All right, the first one, movie taglines, October, scary stuff. Number 1, the night he came home. That's the tagline. And I'm gonna try to read them scary, like sort of like a movie trailer guy. The night he came home. It's a multiple choice, so I can give you 3.
Okay.
Here's your 3. Halloween, 1978, John Carpenter. The Exorcist.
Okay.
And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 3 big, probably 3 of the biggest horror films of the 70s and 80s or 70s rather. So you got your choice right there. I knew this one. I knew this one.
I'm going to go with Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That is incorrect. That was Michael Myers' Halloween, the night he came home. So there you go. That's okay. You You got 9 more. Number 2. Here's the tagline for the movie. Don't make plans for Sunday. So think of them saying the movie title and then go, don't make plans for Sunday. You have your choice of Dawn of the Dead, Friday the 13th, or Suspiria. Suspiria is a Dario Argento Italian horror film which made it over here to the U.S., which is very popular.
Okay, I'm gonna go with C.
You're gonna go with Suspiria?
Yeah.
Okay, Suspiria. Wrong. That was actually, and the clue. The clue was kind of in the thing. Don't make plans for Sunday because it's Friday the 13th. So it's Friday the 13th of that. Okay, so you're 2 for 2.
I'm so good at this.
You're 2 for 2. That's okay. Number 3, tagline for a scary movie, courtesy of MeTV.com. What you know about fear doesn't even come close. Your choices of that tagline are the following. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Don't Look Now is the next one. And the third one, The Night Stalker.
I think that is number 2.
Number 2, Don't Look Now. Yes. It is wrong. That is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I was going to say My First Marriage, but we'll go with that.
Were our first marriages horror films? Some of them are more mystery than horror. Maybe thrillers.
Yeah. No.
I'm in a romance one now. Romance novel.
Yes.
That's a whole other podcast. Number 4 on our horror film taglines. Those who foretold it are dead. Those who can stop it are in grave danger.
Oh.
There's a tagline. It's either The Exorcist, The Legend of Hell House, or The Omen. All these are great.
Legend of Hell House.
Legend of Hell House. You are 4 for 4. That is incorrect.
Perfect.
That's great. That was for The Omen.
Was it
That
really?
was The Omen, yeah, directed by Richard Donner, who went on to make
I
Superman.
never put that
In fact, that's the movie they saw was The Omen. It was so successful. That's why they chose him to direct Superman.
Oh.
And he went on to direct the Lethal Weapon films and Goonies. Yeah. Richard Donner, he was very talented. One of my favorite directors. Number 5, tagline. Here we go. What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Number 1, The Nun, which is a fairly recent movie.
Okay.
Number 2, The Exorcist 2, which is a bizarre sequel to The Exorcist. I don't know if you ever saw it or not, but it was crazy. John Boorman from the Excalibur directed. And the third one is The Exorcist, the original. So which out of those 3 is that tagline does it go to? What an excellent day for an exorcism.
I'm going to go with The Nun.
The Nun, just for fun. You are 5 for 5.
Yes.
That's the original Exorcist.
Really?
Tagline for the original Exorcist.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of them you know, but some of them I don't remember some of them.
Too obvious.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. You should get this one. Tagline. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Okay.
Your first choice on that is Alien. Number 2 is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Number 3, Forbidden World.
That is Alien.
You got that one right. Darn it, why didn't you get that one wrong? Because I wanted you to back the
I
whole
meant
thing.
to say 3.
Okay, no. That is Alien, so you got that one right. So, okay, there we go.
That was too easy.
All right, now this one's going to have the name of the movie in it, so I have to say blank for the movie and the tagline. The tagline is, if you've got a taste for terror, take blank to the prom. That's the tagline.
Okay.
Here's your choice of what goes there. You're either going to take Sandra to the prom.
I've got so many answers that could get me fired.
Well, you have to pick from these 3. That's the problem. You have Sandra to the prom. You can take Carrie to the prom, or you can take Annabelle.
It's Carrie.
Annabelle.
I'm pretty sure it's Carrie.
We're going to go with Carrie. Okay, Carrie is yes, 1976. Yes. Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma, starring Sissy Spacek. Great movie, by the way. John Travolta's in that. One of his early roles.
Yeah,
gets killed.
We should do an after show where I can give the actual answers.
We'll do it for the podcast. We can do that later. Yeah. Number 8, Night of the Living Dead is over. Blank is here. Okay, that's the tagline. You fill in the blank with either Dawn of the Dead, Flight of the Dead, or Diary of the Dead. And all these movies they give as answers are all legitimate films. They're not making up any titles.
Oh, no, yeah, I know they're legitimate.
So what would be Night of the Living Dead is over, blank is here, is the tagline. This is your 8th question. You got 2 more to go.
With C.
C, Diary of the Dead?
Diary of the Dead.
Nope, that is Dawn of the Dead. That's one where they're in the mall.
Dawn of the Dead.
They're in the mall.
Yeah, right.
And they remade it not too long ago with Zack Snyder, I think. Did a remake of it, which is actually pretty good. Number 9, here we go, 2 more. Tagline, horror movie. If this movie doesn't make your... by the way, this tagline is my favorite tagline for any movie in history.
Okay.
I love this tagline. And I love the movie, too. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Oh my God.
I love that tagline.
That is a great tagline.
That is a great tagline. I love it. And I love the movie, too. By the way, it's directed by Bob Clark, who went on to make Porky's, Porky's 2,
yes.
and Baby Geniuses. I mean, he directed A Christmas Story. Bob Clark. This was his like second horror film. I think he helped with Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. I think he co-directed that or something.
I forgot
that was
about
great.
movie.
But this was his big 1974 horror film. It's got Margot Kidder in it. We mentioned Superman.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder is in this. So your choices are When a Stranger Calls, which is kind of what our Halloween spot is based on.
Yeah.
Number 2, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Or Black Christmas. That's your choice.
I'm going with A on this one.
When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah.
And correct. That was Black Christmas. It's a Christmas horror film. So you can either watch it at Christmas or you can watch it during Halloween, which is great, by the way. And it's a great movie, by the way. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Here's the last one. Anytime, anywhere, anyone. That's the tagline.
Okay.
Your choice, and you can tell me some personal answers to that one, too, could you?
We'll do that.
Okay. College days. The first choice is The Thing. The Thing is number 1.
Okay.
Your next choice is Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay.
Which you got 2 versions of that, 50s
Yes.
and then the 80s. The remake was great. And the third one, The Exorcist. So out of those 3, which tagline does that go to? Which
We're
movie
going to
does that
Shot in the Dark, and we're going to go with B on this one.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You are incorrect. That was The Thing. That was John Carpenter's The Thing tagline. And look
solid
at that.
1.
We ended it perfectly on
How
time.
is it already 12?
It says you got 2. 2 out of
2.
10. It says tag, you're out. The end of the
It was
quiz.
worth it just to get that.
That was awesome. Buddy, thanks for being here with me today.
Hey, I
We're
was
looking
glad to
forward
do
to the
it.
Halloween show. Hope everybody out there has a great rest of your week and weekend. It's BK on the Air. You hear me on the podcast, and I'll be back next week.